Sagittarius. They want you back. But only to break your fire again, the final test before your rebirth. Part 1. The knock at the door you've already outgrown. Sagittarius, listen carefully. Someone from your past is circling back, pretending that time has changed them. But the truth buried beneath their smile is not redemption. It's repetition. They don't come to love you. They come to reclaim what your freedom stole from their control. They remember the warmth of your fire, the clarity of your light, and they want it again, not to honor it but to feed on it. There's a pattern here you already know. Promises decorated with remorse, messages laced with nostalgia, and just enough sweetness to make you forget how bitter it was before. You can almost feel the echo of their voice when they say, "I miss you." But deep inside, a wiser part of you whispers, they miss their power, not your presence. You've grown since those nights when you accepted half-hearted apologies as love. The archer within you has learned that forgiveness doesn't mean return. You can forgive and still walk away. You can wish someone peace and never open the door again. Because peace, Sagittarius, is not an act of mercy. It's a declaration of self-respect. What they call closure is often a trapdoor disguised as kindness. You've walked through it before and came out burned. This time you carry the torch of discernment, and it burns through illusion. Every manipulator knows how to mimic care. They study your empathy and use it as the bait. But they underestimate something crucial, your expansion. You are ruled by Jupiter, planet of wisdom and vast horizons. You don't move backward, you orbit higher. When someone tries to lure you into the old story, it's because they cannot stand to see how far your light has traveled without them. They will promise peace, stability, maybe even love. But their peace demands your silence, their stability requires your shrinking, and their love is only control wearing perfume. The universe brings this test not to punish you but to confirm your graduation. You are not the same soul who once begged for clarity or waited for their validation. Now your silence is your boundary, your calm is your sword. Before you answer that call, remember this truth. Nostalgia is not destiny. It's only memory soaked in illusion. You don't owe anyone another chance to destroy what you rebuilt. Take a breath and decree with conviction. I, Sagittarius, honor my path above my past. I do not chase what collapses behind me. My freedom is my temple, and I protect it with fire. Let those words vibrate through your chest until the longing fades into awareness. You are the traveler of the Zodiac, born to move forward, not to circle ruins. The one who left once took your softness for weakness, but now they'll find no doorway left open. Only light that blinds deceit. You are not cold for closing the door. You are courageous for guarding your peace. There is nothing cruel in self-protection. The cruel thing would be to let the same hands that hurt you touch your soul again. And deep down you already know this. That trembling you feel when their name appears on your phone is not love. It's your intuition warning you. Don't go back into the fire you already survived. Remember, Sagittarius, your journey has always been about expansion, not confinement. You were born under the fire that explores the unknown, not the one that kneels before regret. The moment you say no with certainty, you open 100 unseen doors. Behind one of them your peace is waiting, your true love, your purpose, your horizon. But none of that can find you if you're still tied to what dims you. So when they knock again, with charm, with stories, with tears, stand tall in the firelight and let silence answer for you. Because silence from strength is louder than any speech. The past wants to see if you've learned. The universe wants to see if you've remembered. Sagittarius, your soul already knows the truth. You were never meant to be conquered. You were meant to fly. Part 2. Sovereignty over scraps. Self-respect as your North Star. Sagittarius, your spirit was never meant to kneel for crumbs. You were born with a bow in your hands, not chains around your wrists. Yet for too long you mistook survival for love. You gave too much of yourself to people who only wanted pieces. They wanted your laughter, your warmth, your spark, but never your truth. And you, generous as the sun that rules your fire, kept pouring light into their shadows, believing that if you loved enough, they'd finally understand. But they didn't want to understand. They wanted to consume. You mistook their hunger for devotion, their attention for care. But now you see. Some only approach your flame to feel alive for a moment, never realizing how sacred that fire truly is. Every time you accepted less than what you deserved, your bow lost tension. Your aim blurred. You began to shrink your dreams to fit inside someone else's fear. You started apologizing for your own intensity, toning down your truth so no one would call you too much. But Sagittarius, you were never too much, you were just too real for those who fed on illusions. The universe didn't make you wild and restless to be tamed. It made you to remind others that freedom is holy. You are not here to settle. You are here to expand. So let's speak of self-respect, not as a concept but as a vibration. Self-respect is the flame that never bows to the wind. It is the quiet no that doesn't need to explain itself. It's the calm refusal to revisit what betrayed you. When you say, I choose myself, the universe rearranges reality to match your worth. It removes what's false, even if it breaks your heart, because heartbreak is only the body's way of exhaling the last illusion. The pain you felt was the sound of your chains snapping open. You've carried this belief that strength means never needing anyone, but that's not true strength. That's exhaustion disguised as pride. True strength is knowing when to walk alone and when to accept help without guilt. Independence doesn't mean isolation. It means refusing to depend on what destroys you. Look around, Sagittarius. Those who truly love you don't want to cage your fire. They want to see you soar. Don't punish the loyal heart still standing beside you because of the one who betrayed you. Sometimes your temper lashes out not from anger, but from old wounds that never had words. You explode, then regret, wondering why peace feels so fragile. But peace is not fragile. It's waiting for you to stop fighting yourself. When you look in the mirror, stop searching for the version of you they failed to love. Look deeper. The one staring back is the soul who survived storms meant to break her. That reflection carries galaxies behind her eyes, a roadmap of every lesson carved into her heart. You don't need their approval to feel valuable. You are the value. You are the treasure. Let the mirror become your altar, where you remind yourself daily that your worth was never a bargain. And yes, sometimes your expectations have been too high, but not because you're arrogant, because you see potential in everyone. You see what they could become if they loved as fiercely as you. But potential isn't a promise. It's a mirage that wastes years if you chase it. Love people for who they are now, not for who you hope they'll evolve into. You can inspire change, Sagittarius, but you can't breathe for another soul. Dress for yourself. Smile for yourself. Speak for yourself. Live for yourself. Because every time you choose you, the universe claps in thunder. Every morning you rise without bitterness is proof that you've won battles no one saw. You didn't lose them, they lost access to someone divine. And while they might call your distance cold, it's not cruelty, it's clarity. You finally learned that peace is warmer than chaos. So let your mantra tonight be simple and fierce. I, Sagittarius, claim my throne of calm. I no longer beg for seats at tables where my fire was feared. My worth is not a question. It is the answer. Write it. Whisper it. Let it echo through your ribs until it replaces every leftover doubt. Because every time you repeat it, another part of your old story burns away. The world bends toward those who know their value, and the moment you stop chasing crumbs, the feast arrives. You've spent enough years walking barefoot through broken glass, hoping love would bleed the same way you did. But true love doesn't hurt. It expands. It protects. It nourishes. And you, Sagittarius, are meant to be nourished. The days of proving yourself to the unworthy are over. From now on, your only competition is your own peace. And when the ghosts of the past whisper your name, tell them this truth. I'm no longer for sale. Your energy is not a discount market for those who once squandered it. It's a rare constellation, and only those who can meet you in honesty will stand beneath it. Remember who you are. The archer never aims backward. The arrow only flies forward. Part 3: Temper, Fuel, and the Sacred Pause. Sagittarius, your fire is both your gift and your test. It's the blaze that inspires, but also the spark that can scorch. You've always carried a storm beneath your ribs, a passion so fierce it could light up cities, or burn bridges in a single heartbeat. You were never meant to be calm all the time. Your energy was born to move, to seek, to expand. But the universe is teaching you something now, that not every fire must roar. Some flames are sacred because they know when to rest. Some wars are won not by fighting but by not reacting at all. There's a reason your sign is half human, half divine. You walk between instinct and wisdom. When anger flares inside you, it's often not rage at others, but rebellion against the limits placed on your soul. You despise feeling trapped. You hate being misunderstood. But sometimes your reaction, your sudden outburst, becomes the very cage you tried to escape. It's not weakness, it's misdirected fire. You burn too brightly in moments that require patience. Yet, Sagittarius, imagine what would happen if you aimed that same fire inward, not to destroy but to illuminate. That is mastery. That is sovereignty. You have no idea how powerful you become when you pause. The pause is not silence, it's strategy. It's the inhale before the archer releases the arrow. In that sacred moment between feeling and action lies your freedom. When fury knocks, breathe. Count 3 breaths, 1 for your past, 1 for your present, 1 for your peace. Let the world wait. You don't owe anyone your instant reaction. Let your words rise from wisdom, not from wounds. Because when you speak from your higher flame, even your silence burns with truth. You've noticed, haven't you? When your hips ache, when your legs feel restless, when sleep won't come, that's not coincidence. That's your body shouting what your spirit hasn't yet said out loud. The hips and thighs are Sagittarius territory, the bridge between movement and direction. When they grow heavy, it's not fatigue. It's emotional weight. It's all the unsaid things you've carried for too long. The things you wanted to scream but swallowed instead. The nights you stayed instead of running because you didn't want to hurt anyone. But every unspoken truth anchors itself in your muscles until even walking feels like dragging the past behind you. You were born to move, to travel, to explore. Physically, mentally, spiritually. The worst prison for you is stagnation. So the cure is not rage, it's release. Stretch. Walk. Breathe under the sky. Move your body not to escape your pain, but to remind it that it's free. When you honor your body, you honor your flame. Don't neglect it, don't punish it. The universe gave you this vessel to carry wisdom across horizons. Take care of it like the temple it is. Your temper, when channeled, is the purest form of divine motion. It's the universe's electricity running through your veins. But if you let others pull your strings, they will use your fire against you. They'll provoke you, then call you unstable. They'll wound you, then call you dramatic. Don't give them that victory. The one who stays calm controls the narrative. When you hold your fire, you terrify those who expected to see you burn. You have to remember, control is not suppression. It's transformation. You're not extinguishing your flame. You're shaping it into light. You are learning emotional precision the same way an archer learns to aim. Every time you choose patience over reaction, you sharpen your aim. Every time you breathe instead of explode, your spirit grows steadier. And that steadiness is your new superpower. Sagittarius, your words are weapons. One arrow of truth from your mouth can pierce through any mask. That's why your anger must serve justice, not ego. Before speaking, ask yourself, am I healing or hurting? Because your tone can either cleanse or curse. You've got the charisma of fire, use it to warm, not to scorch. When you channel that intensity through compassion, people listen. The same heat that once destroyed your peace will become the torch that leads others out of their own darkness. You may feel that your temper is too much, that your emotions are too wild to manage. But remember, even volcanoes create new land after eruption. Your job is not to deny your lava, but to learn where to let it flow. The sacred pause is the moment you decide where your eruption will create life, not ruin it. And when your old triggers return, the same words, the same faces, the same energy, that's not failure. That's the universe checking if your fire obeys you now. You'll know you've grown when you can smile at provocation and feel no need to prove anything. That is your real victory. Take a moment now. Close your eyes. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat, the warmth in your chest, the power vibrating in your spine. That's the forge of your soul. Whisper to yourself, I, Sagittarius, master my fire. My calm confuses chaos. My pause protects my peace. Let it settle in your bones. Because your strength is not the explosion. It's the stillness after. That stillness is Jupiter's blessing. The wisdom that sees beyond the moment. The next time your temper rises, don't fear it. Bow to it, thank it, and redirect it. Because the moment you control your fire, you become unstoppable. And when the world expects you to fall back into fury, shock them with grace. There's nothing more powerful than a Sagittarius who burns quietly, who walks away instead of argues, who glows instead of reacts. That's not weakness, that's evolution. So keep your fire sacred. Don't waste it proving your point to those who never listened. Save it for your dreams, your art, your freedom. Because your flame was never meant for war. It was meant to light the path forward. Part 4. The old story isn't a destiny. Discernment without guilt. Sagittarius, guilt has been your heaviest chain. It's the invisible weight that makes you question every decision. That whispers you're abandoning someone when you're simply saving yourself. You've spent years confusing compassion with obligation, believing that if you just gave one more chance, one more explanation, one more ounce of patience, they would finally see your worth. But here's the sacred truth. They saw your worth long ago. They simply chose to use it instead of honor it. And now the universe demands that you see the difference. This cycle that keeps trying to replay isn't destiny. It's addiction, the mind's habit of chasing what once felt like home, even when it hurts. But the old story no longer fits the person you've become. You've outgrown the script. Every apology that sounds rehearsed, every promise that tastes like déjà vu. It all belongs to a timeline you've already transcended. To go back would be to deny the very wisdom you bled to earn. You don't owe anyone another round of pain just because they regret losing you. Regret is not redemption. It's awareness too late. You were the healer in that connection, the teacher, the mirror. And that role drained you because you mistook teaching for saving. But some souls don't want salvation. They want sanctuary for their shadows. They come to your light not to change, but to hide inside it. And when you finally step away, they call you cold. But detachment isn't cruelty. It's clarity. The moment you recognize that, guilt evaporates like smoke in sunlight. You must remember this. Saying no is not rejection. It's self-respect in motion. The word no is a sacred spell that protects your future. When you pronounce it with conviction, the universe applauds. Because each no to what hurts is a yes to what heals. You're not closing doors out of bitterness. You're sealing energy leaks. Every boundary you draw is a bridge toward peace. You have a rescuer's heart, Sagittarius, the part of you that believes love can fix anything. But unconditional love was never meant to mean self-erasure. You cannot save someone who feeds on chaos. You cannot pour into a cup that mocks your effort. Let the universe teach them what you no longer need to. Your freedom is their mirror. Your distance is their lesson. And if they never learn, that's not your burden to carry. When you silence guilt, you start to hear intuition again. That quiet inner voice you've drowned in overthinking starts to hum like a compass. You'll notice it in small ways. A shiver when something feels off. A sense of warmth when something aligns. Trust that. Your intuition is older than your fear. It remembers the lifetimes when you chose growth over comfort, and never regretted it. This is one of those lifetimes. There will be moments when the old story knocks softly, dressed in nostalgia. You'll feel the temptation to reread its pages, to wonder if maybe this time it could end differently. But history doesn't rewrite itself, consciousness does. And you, Sagittarius, have already rewritten your consciousness. The person you were back then doesn't exist anymore, so the story cannot continue. It dissolves the moment you stop rehearsing it. You might feel sadness when you let go, not because you missed them, but because you're mourning the version of you who tolerated so much pain. Honor that version, but don't resurrect her. Thank her for surviving, then let her rest. You are not betraying your past by outgrowing it. You are fulfilling its purpose. There's a strange liberation in realizing you don't have to explain your peace. The world taught you to justify every departure, to soften every goodbye with excuses. But real closure doesn't need witnesses. It happens silently when your heart no longer races at their name. It happens the day you wake up and feel calm instead of craving. That calm is your proof of healing. So the next time someone questions your distance, don't defend your silence. Let it speak for you. Silence confuses manipulation because it starves it of attention. They will call your peace arrogance, your independence rebellion. Let them. The archer doesn't explain why she aims forward. She just releases and moves on. Now say it within yourself like a vow under the stars. I, Sagittarius, seal the door to what dims me. My no is not cruelty, it is sacred protection. My peace is not distance, it is devotion. Breathe it in. This is discernment, the alchemy of seeing clearly without guilt. You're not abandoning anyone. You're honoring everyone by living your truth. The ones meant for you will meet you on that frequency. The rest will fade like echoes that no longer reach your altitude. Because you're ascending, Sagittarius. The old story was written for someone smaller, someone uncertain. But now your arrow points to new constellations. And guilt has no passport to follow you there. Part 5. Forward Momentum. Choosing the wider road. Sagittarius, the universe always rewards motion. You were never designed to live in repetition. Your soul was crafted for expansion. Every fiber of your being seeks the horizon. Not out of restlessness but recognition. You recognize that the world beyond your pain is vast. That even after heartbreak, there is more sky to claim. But for too long you've been standing at the crossroads, glancing back at ruins that no longer burn, only smoke. You've mistaken familiarity for safety, even when it cost you your light. Yet the moment you turn your gaze forward, everything shifts. The air clears. The path widens. The fire inside your chest steadies again. Because this is what you were born for, to move, to explore, to rediscover your joy through courage. Sagittarius, freedom is not running from pain. It's walking through it until it no longer defines you. You have already crossed deserts of disappointment and oceans of deceit. You know what betrayal tastes like, you know what silence feels like. And you know the exhaustion of holding everything together while pretending you're fine. But here's the revelation. You didn't survive all of that just to stay wounded. You survived to become wise. To look at the ashes and finally see the outline of your next beginning. Every forward step you take now is sacred. You may not realize it, but each decision to move, to say no, to trust yourself, to breathe sends ripples through the universe. You're writing new constellations with your courage. The future doesn't appear all at once. It appears with each brave choice you make. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to trust that your next step is guided. The wider road doesn't demand certainty. It demands faith. And faith is something you've never lacked, even when you doubted everything else. You've always been the seeker, the philosopher of fire. You crave meaning, purpose, truth. And sometimes that hunger makes you wander into mirages, hoping love or success will quench your thirst. But not all journeys are meant to end where they begin. The ones that break you are simply turning points that redirect your compass. You don't owe anyone your stillness. You don't have to prove that you can endure more to be worthy of better. You've endured enough. Now endurance must become evolution. There's beauty in what's ahead, Sagittarius. New connections that will not demand you to shrink. Friendships that will celebrate your fire instead of fearing it. Opportunities that match your boldness instead of punishing it. And love, real love, the kind that doesn't demand your wings as payment. But you'll never meet them if you keep orbiting around what already fell apart. The universe cannot deliver new blessings to a heart still cluttered with what's expired. So ask yourself this with brutal honesty. Does this choice move me toward joy or away from it? That single question will save you years of confusion. Because sometimes logic lies. Nostalgia lies. But your joy, your body's quiet yes, never lies. Joy doesn't mean easy. It means aligned. You'll know it because it feels like air returning to your lungs after holding your breath for too long. The wider road is not always lit. Sometimes it's dark and uncertain. But that's the test of faith. To walk with fire in your hands when there's no map in sight. That's where your courage becomes creation. Because you, Sagittarius, are a builder of horizons. You don't wait for doors to open. You create new worlds. When others stop, you start again. When others fear change, you crave it. That's your blessing and your burden. And now it's your breakthrough. You must forgive yourself for all the detours, the people you trusted, the time you lost, the emotions you gave. None of it was wasted. Every wrong turn was still movement, and every heartbreak taught you direction. Those moments were your training, your fire forging your wisdom. Now you walk with deeper clarity, sharper instinct, softer strength. You no longer chase excitement. You choose peace. You no longer beg to be understood, you embody understanding. And when you doubt your path, look at the stars. Jupiter's children always find their way. You don't need to force the road. You are the road. Your journey is your teaching. Your courage is your compass. And every sunrise you witness now is a sign that life has already forgiven you for what you didn't know before. You don't owe the past another apology. You only owe the future your commitment. Say it with fire in your voice and calm in your heart. I, Sagittarius, walk the wider road. I do not chase what confines me. My joy is my direction, my freedom my guide. Let that decree echo through your soul. Because the wider road is not just a path. It's your rebirth. The moment you take it, the universe rushes to meet you halfway. Doors appear where walls once stood. People arrive whose presence feels like home. The horizon expands and with it your spirit. Sagittarius, the world has always been waiting for you to return to your element. Not the one who was wounded, but the one who was wise enough to heal. The one who finally understands that movement is medicine. And this right here, right now is your healing in motion. Part 6. The body's compass and the archer's calm. Sagittarius, the body never lies. It remembers everything you tried to forget. It speaks the language of your soul when your mind is too loud to listen. The tension in your hips, the tightness in your thighs, that restless pull in your legs when you try to sit still. They're not random sensations. They're messages from within whispering, "It's time to move differently." You've carried the weight of too many unspoken words, too many unfinished goodbyes, too many dreams you put on hold for someone else's comfort. Your spirit wants flight, but your body drags like an anchor tied to memories. That's why the universe keeps calling you back to yourself. It's not asking for grand gestures, only awareness. When your body aches, it's not punishment. It's guidance. It's the compass showing you where you've ignored your truth. Every ache has meaning. The heaviness in your stride reveals where you've been walking against your intuition. The soreness in your back whispers that you've been carrying what was never yours to bear. The numbness, the fatigue, the pressure. They're all invitations to pause and realign. Because healing isn't only about letting go emotionally. It's about letting go physically, unclenching, exhaling, allowing yourself to exist without defending your right to be free. You were born with the spirit of an explorer, not a prisoner of guilt. And yet for years you've moved like a captive inside your own story, bound by memories that should have expired long ago. The body feels every chain before the mind does. That's why you've been tired even in rest, restless even in sleep. But now, Sagittarius, you're learning to listen. You're learning that the ache is not weakness. It's awakening. Start small. Move with intention. Stretch your legs, roll your shoulders. Breathe deeply until the air feels like fire cleansing your ribs. Let yourself dance without reason. Walk without destination. Exist without apology. Each step is a prayer to freedom. Each exhale is an offering to the self you neglected. You are fire. And fire stagnates only when it forgets to flow. The archer's calm is not passivity. It's poise. It's the moment before the release, where power meets patience. That's where you are now, on the edge of precision. Your emotions may still flare, but your wisdom has caught up. You know when to engage and when to stay silent. You know that reaction feeds chaos but stillness starves it. That's mastery, not because you suppress but because you understand timing. You've realized that not everyone deserves access to your energy. That silence can be the highest form of communication. You've learned that peace is not the absence of emotion. It's the presence of alignment. When you no longer betray yourself to please others, peace returns like an old friend. When you stop trying to fix people who enjoy their pain, calm replaces chaos naturally. And here's the truth, Sagittarius. Your energy is sacred currency. Spend it wisely. Don't invest in arguments that go nowhere. Don't explain your choices to those who refuse to understand. The ones meant for your path will meet you at your frequency, not demand that you dim yours to match theirs. You don't need to prove your worth. You already proved it by surviving everything that tried to break you. So when your body warns you, when your breath shortens around certain people, when your muscles tighten before you speak, when your intuition whispers, "No," trust it. That's your compass. You are the traveler, but the map has always been inside you. Stop outsourcing direction to those who can't even guide themselves. Your truth has been waiting for you to trust it. Now say this, not as a wish but as a vow. I, Sagittarius, protect my flame with clear distance and loving resolve. My calm is not surrender. It is strategy. My silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. Let that vibration settle through your spine. Feel how your breath deepens, how your pulse steadies. That's not coincidence, that's alignment. The moment you choose peace over reaction, your whole system exhales. The storm quiets because it no longer finds a home inside you. You realize the power of calm isn't in shutting down emotion, but in owning it. This is your new equilibrium. You no longer chase validation. You radiate certainty. You no longer fight for attention. Your presence commands it. You no longer prove your worth. Your peace proclaims it. That's the archer's calm, steady hands, open eyes, unshakable aim. And when that same old chaos tries to tempt you back into the noise, smile softly. Remember, storms can't drown fire. You are not here to argue with the past. You are here to transcend it. Every deep breath you take now is an act of rebellion against the version of you that once settled for pain. You've reclaimed your fire, your direction, your dignity. The body knows it, the spirit feels it, and destiny watches in awe. Sagittarius, when you walk from here, walk tall, not because the world is watching, but because peace deserves a proud posture. You've earned your calm. Keep it sacred. Your horizon is calling. Sagittarius, the road behind you is fading. The dust of old pain settles quietly, and for the first time in a long time, your chest feels lighter. This silence isn't emptiness. It's space. Space for peace to return, for joy to take root, for destiny to reveal itself without the noise of confusion. You've walked through storms that would have shattered others, yet here you are, not broken but refined. What once wounded you has become wisdom, and that wisdom now burns inside you like a steady flame. The past still whispers sometimes. It comes in dreams, in familiar songs, in sudden memories that try to pull you back. But you've learned to hear without answering. You no longer mistake nostalgia for love or guilt for duty. You finally understand that not every door deserves reopening, and not every "I miss you" deserves a reply. The universe will always test your resolve before it blesses your next chapter. But this time you're ready. Ahead of you stretches the wider horizon, vast, golden, endless. It's waiting for your next leap of faith. Beyond it lies laughter that doesn't hurt, love that doesn't wound, and purpose that doesn't drain. The lessons of the past were not punishments. They were preparation. Every tear you shed watered the soil of your future. Now the garden of your life is ready to bloom. But it needs you to stay present, facing forward. The universe watches when you stand at this crossroads. It holds its breath to see whether you'll walk back into the ashes or step into the sunrise. But you already know the answer. You were born for movement, not repetition. You were born to expand, not to shrink. You were born to live free, not to live afraid. Say it with conviction. Say it like you're sealing your destiny. I, Sagittarius, choose to be free. I choose truth over illusion, peace over chaos, and future over memory. My horizon calls, and I am ready. Let that declaration echo across the inner sky of your soul. Because that's where rebirth begins, not in the world outside you, but in the moment you decide that the story changes now. Every no you've spoken to the past has already opened invisible gates to the new. Every time you held your fire instead of fighting, the universe took note. And now, Sagittarius, it's ready to reward you. Walk on. The horizon isn't somewhere far away. It's already inside you, glowing with the fire of every lesson you turned into light. The past will keep knocking, but this time you won't even hear it. You'll be too busy building the life you deserve. Because your destiny was never behind you. It was always waiting beyond the bend. Your horizon is calling. And now at last you answer.